Okay, we are in the Reddit section. This is r/diary of a homeless man. Um, yeah, I don't know if it's been around for too long, but yeah, it's getting active. I have nothing to do with this Reddit. I don't do anything with it. But yeah, I think it's just another avenue for people to comment on Paul's stuff because he locked everything down. So it's just like, well, where else are you going to talk about it? Okay, so we got Doobie's Texiola. Let's pretend for a moment that Paul was a self-aware man who would take our feedback and implement it in his life with no pushback or resistance. Highly unlikely, but what would you suggest he do to get his life back on track? I'll go first. Apply for unemployment. Yeah, that's sensible. All right, so this guy is apparently, allegedly, I'll take him at face value. It doesn't, from the little bit of checking I've done, he seems to be in the area. So I'm going to believe he was employed or formerly employed through AMS and probably work with Paul. So it says, ask for help assistance, mind blown. Where is his first post? Yeah, this is the one. Okay. Literally just read on MPR. I guess that's a local Minneapolis radio station. Library offering snacks, socks, and sleeping areas during operating hours for the homeless. I'm sure he'll have some excuse why he can't go there too. So he's in the area. He knows of what's going on in terms of like outreach to the homeless. Now, it depends where the library is. He is by a library. I'm not sure if it's the Minneapolis Library or is that a chain of libraries? Maybe it is. Where Paul can leave his Burnsville area. That's where he's like centered around. So he might not be able to get there because that car barely runs. So he kind of stays within like a 10K, like or maybe a 15-mile area of Burnsville or those related car parks. Um, Doobie says, I'd give him a little money if the man does demonstrate any self-awareness and sincerity to help himself. He was nearly 900 subs, and I'm certain others would too. So, former employee says, I wouldn't. I used to work with him. He was given many opportunities for help. Many people offered drives and assistance. I went and got him minutes for his phone when his car was nuked. That's the Cougar. Just so he would stop complaining about how HR wouldn't lend him money to rent a car. Yeah, so when the Cougar bit the dust, I guess he was hitting up the company to get him a lend car or rent a car. And from what I can see, it's not the kind of company you would be given a work car for. Maybe, but the call center he worked for was just a subcontract thing, so it wasn't really the company directly. He rejected many instances of help that were extended to him. That sounds about right, citing he didn't want to seem to be a burden. Yeah, which is um, he doesn't like to be seen as a charity case. So that's the disconnection. Is he doesn't want to be seen to be a burden, and he doesn't like charity, but he will endlessly complain that no one wants to help him. Everyone refuses to help him. Um, Everyone's against him, and it's just he's on his own. But it's like it's simply not true. It's the lies of this guy that like is the genesis of this channel. Is like you're lying. It's clear that you're just talking shit, and any old person can see this. So yeah, this is a guy like basically confirming, yeah, he lies about this shit. But every day was some lengthy complaint, just like these diary videos. So he's doing it in IRL. He's giving this to his workmates and colleagues of. He's giving them diary videos in their ear, and they're like, "Oh God, Paul, shut up! I don't want to hear about it. I've tried to help you and you've like said, no, 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 it's all good. Why reject the help? Who knows? Maybe he's just comfortable in his position and not actually want help. Yeah. So that's essentially it. Um, this guy's onto it, where he wants to be a martyr, he wants to be a victim. It's as simple as that. It's that complete martyr and victim complex. He's got a big chip on his shoulder, and he just wants to portray a certain um, narrative about himself. He wants it to be real. It's not real. He can't make it real. He needs to go like to a real third world country, and then it might become actually real where there is no help. It's complete like poverty and destitution. There's no like recourse. But yeah, it's the middle of like America. There's going to be help out there. There are going to be a lot of good people willing to help you, but you are going to reject it every time. DB says, I suspect that he suffers from yeah, exactly. I have no idea who his employer would rent a car on their behalf. Most likely, I quit over a year ago. I was there for about 4 years. I assume, though, especially now that he name dropped the company. Did you know why? Did you know he was homeless while he was employed? Healthy suspicion. He wasn't going around telling everyone, but he never left at night. So you kind of knew. Okay, yeah. So he lived in that like I guess when he did step out of the office, um, when maybe the like janitors and cleaners came in and they were vacuuming around, he got uncomfortable, so he'd go down to his car and hunker down for a little while, and then maybe an hour or two later, he'd just like go back in. But yeah, he was underneath the building essentially in this car park, and just he would.
That bar of soap is crazy.
Yeah, he was underneath the building essentially in this car park, and just he would hang out there until I guess he'd get back in the office. According to him, I am the most reasonable and easiest to work with person you will ever find. Okay, so this is interesting. I will say he was easy to work with. He was actually good at the job. Okay, all right. So when he says, I was the most exemplary employee ever, you couldn't find a more capable, employee than me. Um, this guy says, yeah, he was pretty good. So that's a tick in Paul's favor. But then there would be days that a switch would like flip and he'd be extremely frustrated and paranoid about everything. And then the next day would be it's Andy's Mint's time, and Andy Mint's City. So he would just go around with the dollar store mints and give it to people. Continue the thread. He honestly seems like a decent guy that had his reality skewed by life events, trauma, religion, and things like where he gets his news and information from. He seems to be constantly searching for a deeper or sinister meaning out of situations that are relatively black and white. Yeah, that's a good comment there. It's a paranoia and a fear that I guess when you deep dive into any sort of political movement or some sort of a religious sect or cult or something like that, where everything is untrustworthy, everything is shades of grey, and um, there's always like, yeah, as he says, there's a sinister subtext in the meaning of everything, and you can't trust anything. Everything is like, well, I don't know if that's true because did you read on here? This guy said this about that, and that led to this about that. So you can always like dig a little deeper and be untrusting of, certain things. And I think that's where Paul is just completely off the deep end. Guy replies, yeah, I was a supervisor. He would always come up and be like, I don't want to sell to this guy. I don't trust him with no real motive. He would always find a way to think that someone is out to get to him. Once he freaked out because one of our co-workers parked next to his car. You would have thought the world was ending. Yeah, so he has a real weird avoidance. He has like an avoidant personality where I guess within a setting of being out in the car park and being alone is where he's most content and like happy because it's his own world. No one's near him, no one's next to him, no one can overhear a conversation he's having with the video camera. Um, yeah, it seems where he's most at home. And yeah, like just some rando employee saying, "Where's my spot?" Oh, someone's got my spot, so I'll just drive around here next to this car. Um, because I just want to make sure it's next to another car, so if anyone does come in and snoop around, like there'll be another car next to it, and possibly the owner of that car will come back and catch this guy snooping around. So yeah, uh, Paul would have interpreted that as if it was something out of the ordinary. I'm guessing Paul would have definitely interpreted that as some sort of sinister motive or like nefarious plot against him by some rando parking there. But he would have thought, oh, this is the beginning of a stalking project by one of my work colleagues, and he definitely indicated in his videos that there was a inside stalker, like someone would be keeping tabs on him. Um, yeah, so that's definitely in line with what he said in his videos. All right, this is another post in the subreddit. Discussion over one of his diary entries. Paul showing his hand a bit. Everyone who's wronged him deserves to be the deepest pits of hell. Also mourning a sister that died before he was born. Yeah, I think she died when she was 3 or 4. And yeah, he's cut up about that. They never met because he was not born at the time, I guess. She was the oldest sister that died. So the former employer says, "I'm glad everyone sees that he goes against himself constantly. I love that I'm stalked all the time, and then he knows every time the backstabber took a piss and clocked her time, assuming then that she was doing drugs. It says it wasn't romantic or harassment, and then sent her all the creepy shit, which does include the 3D renders. I will get into that at some point. There's so much to unpack with that. Yeah, like that is something I will get to at some point, but not now. It's it's like you're looking over a cliff and it's a precipice. There's this vast underlayer there that I'm not ready for that one yet. Wake up calls. It's his little his little subliminal messages and notes within these larger posts and videos and stuff that he drops. There's one that's kind of infamous. I will find that one where it's just a big dump. It's just like he lets it all hang loose to this woman in particular. And it's just like, if you don't know why you were fired, you are completely fucking delusional, dude. Like way out of your way out of your mind. It's like there's no way someone you could give this to someone and expect them to take it any other way than this is just a complete attack on me. And then gets mad when she reported him. Of course, she absolutely should have reported him, especially around one of these posts that he sent to her where he said some vile, weird shit. I will find that. I'm going to splice that in. Thank you, Astrid. That's a nice. And back to me. Digestive Brain says, do you think he is sincere in his very weird life-saving gift he gave the cute backstab, or did he have the hots for her and thought this grand gesture might win him a prize? Yep. She started shortly before I left, which was a year ago. So the person I believe it to be is, yeah, she fits within this area. There is another person who looks just like her. It's weird because they look like each other, but they're different people. Anyway, but knowing Paul, he probably has some good intentions, albeit all completely unfounded or true or based solely in his paranoia. Yeah. But without adding him too hard, he apparently had some family members fall prey to drug use, and maybe the backstabber reminds him of them. I'm thinking extended family. I don't think he's mentioned. I think maybe that has to do with like a bandmate or something that kind of went off the deep end in drugs, and um, that's why he has such a negative stance on drug use. Somebody might have like jammed with or played with in one of his bands might have kickstarted this. I'm not sure if it's one of the family though. I can confirm in 4 or 5 years of working with him, I never saw him make a move on a woman. I can believe that. But his 3D renders were always concerning. So this guy, I guess he knew about the 3D renders. He honestly seems like a decent guy that had his trauma, religion, and things when he gets his news and information from. I think I read that, yeah. I was a supervisor. He would always come up and be like, I don't want. All right, I read all that. I'm Astrid. Astrid says, I've gone back for the most part, believed by MS for as long as it says, but he dabs me of the years, especially the COVID days. He may have been traumatized in the death of his Mercury Cougar, leading to his job loss, and eventually, the same thing in New Jersey. HR is doing to him right now. Though, as we know, after he honestly suggested he was going to die after the loss of the car, he literally just holed up in a hotel and walked for 13 months until he got another car, which is the Ford Fusion. And then this guy says, I will say the car death was no joke. A manager had to get him north of Minneapolis. Some of my previous co-workers offered him rides to the hotel and all that for the next few weeks, and then just let him walk, laugh out loud. The manager stalking thing was also sort of true because Paul would say the super late and sometimes still be there at like 6 when he showed up. If I was a manager, I'd also think that something was up, but of course it was because he wanted to bang the cougar. What? All right, I don't really. Is he referring to the Mercury Cougar or what is going on there? Sorry, I don't really get that post. Okay, this is the last meaningful big post by him. Context. He told me Michael Moore stole his idea one night at work years back. That's hilarious. He's been telling that. What is the? Let me guess. He told me Michael Moore stole his idea one night at work years back. I think that's the documentary guy. Michael Moore. Bowling for Columbine, that's the one. That's hilarious. He's been telling that for years. Not sure if you found it because I haven't. But he told me that he had split ties with his whole family because he tried to defraud the healthcare system in Minnesota. When I asked him about it, he told me he couldn't go into details, but it would put him at risk again. I'm sure he made a video about it. Would love to know more. How do you, I guess, defraud the healthcare system? Yeah, it's possible so he had to cut ties with his family. So it's possible he was claiming um, checks for a family member, and like for a family member that was sick or something, or near death, and he claimed the checks for them and cashed it for himself, maybe. Otherwise, I guess maybe you can go into like a private practice and um, get backed by a like a state or government body to prop your business up, but also like not provide the healthcare or whatever the care is to the patients, or you like cook the books, where you're getting government backed assistance in your company or your little um, private practice. But I don't know what the hell Paul would have been doing. He's always trying to get this homeless advocacy kind of network or business going, but it's never come to fruition. Maybe he tried it, and no. Anyway, hard to know what he was doing there. If there's any substance to that claim by Paul to this guy, his former co-worker, but yeah, maybe he was picking up checks on a family member's behalf and cashing it out in Minnesota, and then he had to like immediately stop or something once maybe the family became aware. I don't. Maybe the government wasn't aware of that, but the family was, and it was like, Paul, you're a fucking prick. That's mere speculation. I can't confirm any of this. So yeah. Um. All right. That's it for Mr. Poop Poopship Boognish. I like the name. Yeah, so he was a guy who used to work with Paul for about 4 years, and then he moved on from AMS about a year ago. So Paul is aware of you. He's seeing these comments. So this confirms that Paul definitely follows all this stuff around, and he follows my videos. So he's hyper aware, and it makes him irritated because this stuff gets out. This stuff gets out. Also, he was very complimentary of Paul. So this poster here was very even keeled about it. He didn't really shit on him too much. He just told it as it was. He told the good and the bad. So yeah. I think that's the diary about Le Reddit Soyjack complete. Take care, everyone. Be good to yourself, and don't be Paul.